Kirby has always been a solid Nintendo series. From the time I started on the Game Boy original to even the latest titles in the series, I feel like it just gets better with every installment, even though not much has changed. In fact, on every Nintendo console, there's always been at least one major Kirby game, kinda like that pink cherry on top for Nintendo. Except for the GameCube. And when I realized this, it was actually kind of strange. Sure, there's Kirby Air Ride, which is still a great game, but keeping things straight, it's only really a racing spin-off. For the formulaic Kirby experience, the jump to 3D didn't happen all the way until the Wii, with Kirby's Return to Dreamland, but before then, the latest Kirby games were just Air Ride and the GBA games. Well, what if I told you that there was not just one, but 3 major cancelled Kirby games for the GameCube? And even weirder, you might have already played them, just in the form of a later game. So today, on the Mini Myths of Gaming, we'll be taking a look at the story of a lost GameCube trilogy of Kirby games that, over time, might have transformed into later games in the series. Kirby for GameCube, also known as Kirby Legend of the Stars, and Kirby's Adventure, in which I'll be calling Kirby GCN instead of saying that sentence over and over for the rest of the video, was a group of cancelled games which were all meant to premiere on the GameCube at one point or another. I know, shocking, right? Not much is known about the later 2 games, but the first one, which was heavily pushed by Nintendo, had tons of information and even a trailer revealed before it all vanished without a trace. From the gameplay, it looked like a standard 2.5D Kirby game, but with some interesting new mechanics, more specifically, a system which looked like a variation of the helper system from Kirby Superstar, where you could recruit up to 3 helpers, and they could be controlled by either 3 other players or the computer. There was even a special attack revealed where the helpers could stack onto each other and possibly do some kind of special attack. Moving on from the trailer, the game's concept art shows us a lot of really cool stuff that was previously unseen elsewhere, like this menu screen made of 3D blocks where it looks like a tiny Kirby would have traversed them for possibly different modes, options, or stories like in Superstar. There's also concept art of a Robo DDD boss, which also appears in the Kirby Mass Attack side game Kirby Quest, and of an unnamed final boss with a strikingly similar appearance to Magolor's first phase in Kirby's Return to Dreamland. And if that wasn't enough already, surprisingly, Morpho Knight was also set to make his debut in this game as well. Also, something that I found kinda cool was this game would have premiered DDD's Jet Hammer, the bane of many stocks in Smash Ultimate, but because of that game's cancellation, this mechanic instead made its debut in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, making it one of the only Smash moves to ever appear in Smash before it appeared in its own series. As for the game's story, all that was revealed about the original storyline is that King DDD stole Kirby's Warp Star and he's trying to get it back. So really, just business as usual for Kirby and DDD. With that, that's pretty much all we know about the first game. The first Kirby GCN game is probably one of the most widely documented cancelled games we know anything about. It's almost like it was a complete game which they just decided not to release for not meeting quality standards. A tragic fate that befalls many games that don't need to, and somehow many games that should have been cancelled end up avoiding. With that out of the way, it brings us to the second and third games, which we know way less about, besides a few screenshots and info given in Iwata Ask. The second game looks like a 3D platformer style Kirby game, which is something that still doesn't exist yet, and man, I want it to after seeing this. The game had a kind of blocky level design and showed a bunch of Waddle Dees performing some ancient ritual around a tree, with a sword Kirby preparing to wield the blade and protect the tree from their evil antics. There was also a counter for point stars in the top right corner, which most likely would have been the game's main collectible. Besides that, not much else is known about the 3D platformer, which just looks like a standard Kirby game but in 3D. But it was cancelled because bad quality is bad, which, looking at the screenshot, why? Nintendo being perfectionists aside, the third game of Kirby GCN was definitely the weirdest looking, but also in a way, the most interesting. The screenshot we have of this game shows it as yet another 2.5D Kirby game, but this time with a storybook / anime style aesthetic, which really reminds me a lot of Kirby Right Back At Ya. Which, now that I think about it, holy crap, the backgrounds look almost exactly the same. I don't know what else this game would have been, so the best guess I can make would be a tie-in game with Kirby Right Back At Ya, which makes sense with the art style and the whole dates of the series and the GameCube itself kind of lighting up. Point stars also make a reappearance in the screenshot, but this time with the addition of a few new things on the HUD, like this icon which looks like it's for collecting chests, and this weird meter surrounding Kirby. Since the text normal is at the bottom, there might have been some kind of boost or transformation Kirby got when it was full. And the text 1P implies that there also would have been a multiplayer feature in this game, maybe similar to the helper mechanic found in the first game. These 3 cancelled Kirby games held so much promise, and honestly could have been great if they were released. But here's the thing. you might have already played them. I say this more specifically referring to the first iteration of Kirby GCN, which you'll notice instantly has a lot of mechanics and design elements that can be found in later Kirby games. However, Kirby GCN is so similar to Kirby Star Allies, in particular, that one might even say it was an earlier version of the same game. Let's go over some of the similarities. Both of the games have a reliance on a newly introduced 4-player co-op helper mechanic, which looks to function basically the exact same way. And the UI for this mechanic also shares the same color scheme, which just so happens to be repeated throughout the series since Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Both games were also set to feature the return of the cleaning, plasma, and water abilities, with plasma resembling its appearance in Kirby's Air Ride. And then there's the whole deal at Morpho Knight, who was created all the way back here and yet was still featured so many years later in Kirby Star Allies, almost like a direct callback. That's not even including the 3D Kirby game, which was likely reworked into a minigame in Kirby Planet Robobot, Kirby 3D Rumble, which looks to be greatly inspired by the aforementioned cancelled project, and possibly could have been some way tied into Kirby Blowout Blast. But that's the story of Kirby GCN so far. 3 cancelled games that weren't really so cancelled after all when you look at the whole picture. Sure, it still kinda sucks that we'll probably never completely see what these games could have been, but I think what they ended up turning out as in the form of Kirby Star Allies and more of the series definitely makes up for the lost trilogy, and to me feels like a final version more than anything else. But who knows? In Nintendo's next and rare direct, they could completely sideswipe us and say, "Nope, gotcha idiot, here's that whole 3D Kirby game platformer you wanted to play." But until then though, that's Kirby GCN for now. A series of games that could probably influence the rest of the Kirby series for a pretty long time. This has been the Mini Myths of Gaming, thanks for watching. Hey everyone, Flash here. I just want to quickly say thank you so much for the support for the Mini Myths of Gaming recently. It's been insane and I absolutely love making these videos. So if you got any more suggestions for more episodes or any more spicy gaming myths you want to let me know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, dropping a like down below also helps the channel out a ton. And as always, if this is your first time here or you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to smash that squishy red subscribe button for more, so you'll be the first to see new videos when they premiere. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll be back in a flash.